Next on WVUA 23, warm temperatures are expected for the work week. All the details coming up.
And the nationwide drug prevention campaign Red Ribbon Week starts this week. What's this year's theme and how schools are making awareness fun for students? And a 17-year-old is behind bars in Walker County. What led to the arrest of the teen? WVUA 23 News starts right now.
This is WVUA 23 News at 10.
We're glad you're with us. I'm Laura Vale. Topping our news tonight, a Tuscaloosa man was arrested Friday for a murder he committed in 2020. 41-year-old Travis Williams pleaded guilty to 2 counts of murder in a Fayette County Circuit Court on Friday. Williams is responsible for the murder of his ex-wife, who was found dead in her home on Alabama Highway 18 East back in January 2020. As part of the plea agreement, Travis was sentenced to 2 consecutive life sentences. An investigation is continuing after the Walker County Sheriff's Office reported what was believed to be a hit-and-run accident is now a murder. The Sheriff's Office got a call earlier this week on Monday from a passerby reporting a person lying in the median of Highway 78 near Scotts, Texaco. 40-year-old Jonathan Foster has been identified as the victim. On Thursday during a press conference, Walker County Sheriff Nick Smith said an autopsy report revealed Foster's injuries were not consistent with someone who had been struck by a vehicle and that foul play was involved. A joint investigation involving Walker County Sheriff's Office and Aaliyah led to the murder arrest of the 17-year-old. The juvenile is being held in Walker County Jail. Now looking to weather, Nick Temple is in for a look at those forecasts. Nick, are we going to see any rain this week?
Hey Laura, unfortunately we're not going to see any rain, but we do have some beautiful weather on deck for us. Current temperatures right now are a little chilly. We got 53 here in Tuscaloosa, already some cooler spots up there to our north, 48 in Haleyville and Jasper. And overnight tonight we are going to get down into the 40s, 44 here in Tuscaloosa, 43 over there in Birmingham. So we are going to be pretty cold tonight, but we warm up quite nicely going into tomorrow. 82 degrees is our high. We got full sunshine on deck for you. That's going to last throughout the week. And those temperatures too, we can expect to be in the 80s pretty much all week long. And notice 75 is our average high, so we're going to be a little bit above average, coasting in those low 80s. Now rain is still far and few in between. We have no rain chances for this week. You can see dry pretty much all week long there. It's really not helping our drought situation here. We got dry conditions in Tuscaloosa, Jefferson County, more severe drought down to our south and near Demopolis there. So we haven't seen rain since about September, and we're not going to see it anytime soon. We do have some good weather out there. So that's a look at your forecast. I'll have more in first weather. Laura?
As of today, millions of Cubans remain without electricity. The country's power grid crashed Friday. That left 10 million people without intermittent service. Cuban officials say about 16% of the country had their power back on as of late Saturday. Concern is growing because Hurricane Oscar is set to slam into eastern Cuba. That is expected to knock down trees and power lines and make the recovery effort from the power grid collapse even more complicated. Oscar is the 10th hurricane to hit the Atlantic this season. Forecasters say Oscar is expected to dump up to 6 inches of rain and possibly 8 inches in some places. With flu season, the Alabama Department of Public Health is encouraging Alabamians to ask their doctors about the flu shot and other vaccines. It's part of the Ask Your Doctor campaign. Several vaccines are being recommended this year to help avoid respiratory illness. ADPH is reminding the public simple hygiene efforts like washing your hands and staying home when you're sick can help protect against these infectious diseases. But you should ask your doctor about which vaccines can also help keep you healthy.
Yeah, the coverage does vary from season to season. When we look at the flu vaccine, we know that they don't prevent 100% of infection. But even if you get the infection after the flu vaccine, your symptoms should be milder, and you should actually get over the flu a lot faster.
Please contact your healthcare professional to get more information about the vaccines and what you need. Pickens County's drivers should soon be forced to pay a new bill, one that could help keep the ambulance service running. State Representative Ron Bolton has proposed a plan to hold a local referendum vote on a new tag tax. If approved, Pickens County drivers would pay $15 more on their tag fee. The extra money would keep the ambulance service running in the region. Those crews have been spending more time and money to transport patients since the local hospital shut down.
Due to the hospital closing down and a couple of other factors during reimbursements, the ambulance service has gotten to the point where they could not operate full-time personnel all the time. And we had long wait times, and we had the ambulance being out of service sometimes for 3 to 4 hours going to Columbus and to Tuscaloosa to transport a patient. It would approximately cover the cost. That's what we did. We looked at the cost and decided what level we wanted to try to set the fee at if they decide they want to do it.
There is no timetable for when the plan could come up for a vote. U.S. Congresswoman Terry Sewell campaigned in Tuscaloosa earlier this week. Sewell is representing Alabama's 7th District. She went by Mackenzie Court, Cherry Stone, the Glens, Jackson Apartments, and more to see the residents of Tuscaloosa. She urged people to vote in the upcoming election, and if you haven't already registered to vote, to do so now. She also went and talked to the people of the West Side community in Tuscaloosa to vote for Vice President Kamala Harris in the upcoming election. And Robin Littaker is Sewell's opponent for Alabama's District 7. Littaker was in the public education system for 32 years and a former principal and teacher in Mobile and Hoover City schools. She also founded the Alabama Conference of Educators and served as president and executive director. In 1997, she was honored as Alabama's Teacher of the Year. You can go to her website, littaker.com, to see her events and where she will be campaigning next. The Tuscaloosa County Commission has purchased a vet clinic to help with the Metro Animal Shelter. The shelter is a joint venture between the cities of Northport and Tuscaloosa County. This clinic was purchased for $306,000. Most of that was paid by the County Commission. The building is fully equipped and will be operated by the Metro Animal Shelter.
This veterinary clinic, working with Metro Animal Shelter and the great team that does work down there, will give them an opportunity to create a triage environment where they can keep animals when they first come in. That will become the first stop. We're hopeful this will be a great asset, help the operation. We have closed on the property. We will be working to do an agreement lease situation with Metro Animal Shelter. They'll be running and operating the facility.
The commission hopes the new shelter will be in use by the end of this year. The 53rd Annual Kentuck Art Festival took place this weekend in the newly renovated Snow Hinton Park. The festival is a great way to gather the community and appreciate the talents of others. Awards were given to artists who entered for judging for Best in Show, Award of Distinction, and Merit Awards. The judges award a total of $12,200 to the exhibiting artists and score artists based on quality, originality, design, composition, technique, and overall presentation. This year's Best in Show winner was clay artist Louis Gutierrez. Brenda Gordon and Robin Ann Cooper, both mixed media artists, won the Award of Distinction. Red Ribbon Week is taking place all across schools in West Alabama as a part of a nationwide drug prevention campaign. This year's theme, Life's a Movie, Live Drug-Free. The week-long campaign encourages students to participate in different dress-up activities with themes centered around drug prevention awareness. Red Ribbon Week takes place each year from October 23rd through the 31st, though some schools have differing dates. Northport Intermediate School celebrated first this month with themes such as Get a Clue, Drugs Are Bad for You, and Win the War Against Drugs. U.S. Jones Elementary in Demopolis and Westwood Elementary in Coker will kick off Red Ribbon Week October 28th by wearing red to rally against drugs. Greene County Schools will start their week-long campaign Monday, October 21st. Tuscaloosa's One Place and Tuscaloosa County Schools invite parents of 3- and 4-year-olds with special needs to the Spooky STEM Spectacular event. Families attending can engage in activities designed to support their children's learning and developmental needs. Activities will include creating spiderweb structures, mixing magical potions, and solving skeleton puzzles. Tuscaloosa's One Place's No Place Like Home department will be on site with resources, and staff from the Tuscaloosa County Schools will discuss parenting strategies. The event will take place Monday, October 21st from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. at Lloyd Wood Education Center in Northport. And the Tuscaloosa Symphony Orchestra is hosting a Bridgerton-inspired ball on Halloween. The event will take place at the historic Deering Swaim home on October 31st. The evening will consist of a feast, live music, period dancing, lavish costumes, cocktails, and more. 2 special guests will be present: Dr. Alexis Davis Hazel, UA Professor of Voice, and City Councilman Kip Tyner. The ball will help raise $25,000 in hopes to bring the transformative power of music to West Alabama. All proceeds will go towards concerts, free student ticket programs, and music initiatives. Well, a day of celebration in Georgia's Sapelo Island has turned to tragedy after a dock collapsed. What caused the accident and who was affected? And tensions in the Middle East intensify after a strike hit northern Gaza. How officials are responding? We'll have those stories and more when we return. Authorities are working to identify the cause of a partial ferry dock collapse in Georgia that turned a day of celebration into tragedy, leaving at least 7 dead and 6 critically injured as crowds gathered for a cultural festival. Many of the residents there are known as Gullah Geechee people who descended from enslaved Africans. Rob Kirkpatrick has the latest.
Tragedy struck a small Georgia island on Saturday when a ferry dock partially collapsed, killing at least 7 people and injuring several others.
Multiple agencies responded to this incident, and once we got on scene, we realized that we had possibly 20 people or more that had went into the water because of the collapse of this gangway.
It happened as crowds gathered on the island for a celebration of its Gullah Geechee community of black slave descendants. Many members of that community sprang into action once they heard about the tragedy.
We're missionary and we try to help people who are in need, and it was a time of need.
It remains unclear why the Marsh Landing dock collapsed. A team of engineers and construction specialists are investigating why it failed. Both President Joe Biden and Georgia Governor Brian Kemp said they were heartbroken over the news. Biden saying in a statement they are praying for the injured and anyone missing. Vice President Kamala Harris echoed those statements at a church in Georgia.
My heart, as I know for all of us, goes out to those who were impacted.
The tight-knit community is home to just a few dozen full-time residents and still continues many West African cultural traditions. That includes the art of basket making that was being celebrated Saturday in its Culture Day festival before tragedy struck.
We believe that in spite of how tough it is, that there is something good that will come out of this.
I'm Rob Kirkpatrick reporting.
The Georgia Department of Natural Resources said today that 20 people went into the water when the gangway collapsed. All of the people who went into the water have been accounted for. U.S. leaders say there is an opportunity to resolve the Gaza conflict following the killing of Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar by Israeli forces. The Biden administration says justice has been served and is ramping up pressure on the Israeli prime minister to end the fighting and bring hostages home. As presidential candidates traveled to battleground states this weekend, former President Donald Trump says Israel wouldn't be in the good position they're in if they listened to the White House, while Vice President Kamala Harris says everyone must seize this opportunity for peace.
They didn't want him to do anything, and they would not be in the good position they're in right now if they listened to the White House, which I guess would be a combination of Kamala and Joe. They're not happy about that either, I will tell you. Israel's not happy about that.
Everyone must seize this opportunity to finally end the war in Gaza, bring the hostages home, and end the suffering once and for all.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says that after the killing of Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar, Israeli forces will continue forward until the end. At least 87 people were killed in an Israeli strike on Bei Lahia, northern Gaza, overnight Saturday, the health ministry in Gaza says. The number killed included 27 bodies retrieved so far and 60 people under the rubble. More than 40 people had been injured, including a number of very critical cases, the ministry said. Many of the bodies being retrieved or brought into hospitals were those of children. Daylight images appear to show that 2 or 3 substantial apartment buildings were flattened by the strike.
Cold temperatures overnight tonight, but warm weather for this week. All the look at the work week forecast coming up after the break. Good Sunday evening to you. We're rounding out another weekend. Pretty warm temperatures and pretty quiet weather, that is. We're looking at satellite and radar. Pretty clear, pretty much nothing going on. There is nothing going on. This is what that looks like on the ground. This is off the Tuscaloosa Cam off Bryant-Denny Stadium. Clear skies. Temperature right now is 53 degrees. Now, I want to say that our high today was 78. That's right on average pretty much, but our low temperature this morning being only 42. That's definitely a big change from our average for this time of year, which that is going to change, and we'll talk about it here in a second. But temperatures right now are in the 50s, maybe some spots in the 40s. 48 up there in Haleyville, 48 in Coleman, but 53 there in Birmingham. Now, overnight tonight, we are going to get down into the 40s as well. I mean, this is chilly to me. Low 40s, that is. 44 degrees there in Tuscaloosa, 43 in Clinton. I actually wouldn't be surprised if maybe these northern counties maybe scrape the surface at 39 or so. So it's going to be a very cool night expected. Now, however, we rebound pretty nicely going into tomorrow. So dropping the kids off, tour the bus, or heading out to work, we can expect temperatures after the sun comes up to be around 50 degrees. This is still pretty chilly, so you might need a jacket, but get ready to shed it in the afternoon. 82 degrees there by pickup. So it's going to be a warm afternoon, and we're going to expect temperatures to stay warm for the remainder of the week. We're going to coast pretty much in the lower 80s, 81 there on Tuesday, 82 there on Monday, staying in the low 80s. And notice our temperature high is 75 degrees, so we're about 7 degrees above average for this time of year. And the 80s is pretty warm for late October, and our lows are still going to be in the 50s, so we're still going to feel like fall there in the morning and in the overnight. Now, probabilistically, we're looking like we're going to be above average as we go into the remainder of October and into November. This is the 6 to 10 day temperature outlook, so this is beyond our 7 day. It's looking like much of the country is going to be swept with some above average temperatures. And I'm not talking about, extreme heat, maybe just the same low 80s that we were talking about. So dry weather is going to continue, so we're going to have very low dew points. This is our muggy meter. Now, 80-degree temperatures with very low dew point means it's going to be very comfortable to be outside, but dry weather also means no rain in the forecast, and we're pretty much clear of any rain chances for the foreseeable future. Probably not going to see any for the next 10 to 14 days or so, or even beyond that. It's not helping our drought situation either. So we're not getting any rain, and we're pretty much dry across central Alabama, across the entire state. Tuscaloosa County here and Jefferson County over there in Birmingham in a dry situation there. Pretty moderate, more south of I-59. So hopefully that will subside as we go into November. But for now, let's check out our 7-day. No rain chances for the foreseeable future. Got warm weather temperatures, lows in the 50s. So it's still going to feel like fall in the mornings and in the overnight. But in the afternoon, it's definitely going to feel like maybe some summertime temperatures. But the good news, Laura, is that, we see 80 degrees on the screen, but dew point levels are going to be pretty low. So it's going to feel comfortable. You know what I mean?
Yeah, this is definitely space heater weather.
I don't know what space heater is. What is that?
Like a little warmer, know?
Oh, okay. I'm following. Yeah.
I have been sitting by mine every night on my couch.
Gotcha. Yeah, because definitely needed at nighttime.
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, sports anchor Nathan Brown joins us. Nathan, good evening.
Good evening, Laura. Coming up in sports, Alabama and Tennessee, we'll break that one down. Talk about what it means for both of these teams, Alabama and Tennessee, moving forward in the SEC and nationally, coming up on WVUA 23. Good evening, I'm Nathan Brown, and last night, the Tennessee Volunteers stunned the Alabama Crimson Tide in a 24-17 victory inside of Neyland Stadium. Alabama suffers a second loss before November for the first time since former Alabama head coach Nick Saban's inaugural season at Alabama way back in 2007. WVUA 23 sports reporter Tommy Kemp was on the scene last night, and he has more from Knoxville.
Kalen DeBoer is good at a lot of things when it comes to being a football coach. Losing, however, is not one of those things.
Yeah, he told us straight up that he's not really good with those speeches after the game, after losing, because he never plans on us to come in the locker room after the game and not be victorious.
One of the main reasons for Alabama's loss was the 15 penalties they committed, 4 of which came from false starts, which quarterback Jalen Milroe takes full responsibility for.
I got to take full ownership of that. When it comes to communication up front, communication to the guys around, I got to do better on my end, playing with better detail, communication up front, and allowing our guys to line up properly, with the communication.
With 2 losses in SEC play, Alabama's conference championship hopes are dead. But with the new 12-team playoff, there's still something to play for.
I know there's enough guys that still believe, that still want to, go do what we want to do. There's a lot of season left for not just us, but everyone.
Before coming to Alabama, DeBoer had a record of 104-12, but in just 7 games as a Crimson Tide head coach, DeBoer has already racked up 2 losses.
For the second time in 3 weeks, the Alabama Crimson Tide see the goalposts fall down as they lose 24-17 to the Tennessee Volunteers. Local in Knoxville, Tommy Camp, WVUA 23 Sports.
Great stuff there by Tommy, and we knew that last night's action would have major implications on the outlook of the SEC standings as well as college football playoff. So let's take a look at how things shook out in this week's updated AP poll. With the win, Tennessee moves up 4 spots to 7. Alabama tumbles 8 spots to 15. This is the first time Alabama has fallen out of the top 10 since November 2010. As for the rest of the SEC, 9 teams total in the top 25. Georgia back at 2 after the impressive win at Texas last night, while the Longhorns fall to 5. And Texas A&M still undefeated in conference play. They're at 14. Ole Miss at 18. Mizzou at 21. And Vandy, who everyone has been keeping an eye on, cracks the top 25, taking that final spot. Now rolling on to week 7, Bama in the NFL in Minnesota. Lions taking on the Vikings. Ooh, you see that move by Jahmyr Gibbs. He will have himself a day. 116 yards on the ground for Jahmyr Gibbs, carrying the load. Now also in this one, second quarter, Sam Darnold drops back, and it would be Brian Branch who picks him off. You'll get a second look at this one from Brian Branch, a phenomenal pick. Look at this shot here. Branch laying out for this one as he picks off Sam Darnold there. Now later on, Gibbs, he gets it again, and he punches it in with authority. Gibbs carrying the load for the Lions and also for my fantasy team. He had him a great day. Now there's the man right there, Amari Cooper, his debut with his new team, and he will come away with a touchdown. 5 catches on 66 yards and that touchdown for Coop in his debut. Up top in Green Bay, Josh Jacobs, he catches this one out the backfield, and he is going to take it into the end zone for the receiving touchdown. This is actually Jacobs' first receiving touchdown of his career. Jacobs had the longest reception streak in NFL history without a touchdown, but that is now over. Now back in Tuscaloosa, Alabama volleyball hosted the number 15 Kentucky Wildcats earlier today in Foster Auditorium. In this one, 5th-year senior Chase Campbell earned her 300th career block. What a phenomenal career Chase has had in Tuscaloosa. Now in the first, Kentucky got out to a fast start on the road, taking it 25-22. The second set was back and forth. The 2 teams battled it out, but Kentucky came back to take the advantage, closing the set 29-27. In the third, it was all Kentucky as they continued to build on their momentum, putting this one away to sweep Alabama 25-15 in the third set. The Crimson Tide's next match will be on Wednesday as they go on the road and they look to bounce back at Oklahoma. Absolutely a great time in sports right now. October is always filled with action. Coming up next in WVUA 23 Sports.
All right, well, that's our show for tonight. Be sure to keep up with us on social media for developing stories. Have a great night.